Welcome. Today we have an interview and our guest is Erica. And often with our interviews, we're talking about something really cool that's happened with our guest. And we do have things that are cool that have happened with Erica, but we're actually going to talk about her kids and how we've helped her kids and how that's helped her family. So before I get to that, I'm Kara from the Bridging Institute. Great to see all our new subscribers. Thank you for being here. And I just want to set the stage for this interview. We are going to talk about working with kids, which you don't see on video because we don't ever make videos of anybody under 18 because those stories are theirs and they're not old enough to own those stories yet. So one of these days, hopefully our younger guys will come in and do a story as they're older, an interview when they're older. But we're going to frame this interview from a parent's perspective and how the family and the relationships and the stress of family life has been changed by bridging. So to start off, how old are your darlings now?
So Brody is actually going to be 12 on December 24th. Skylar just turned 9 on Thanksgiving, and Jackson is 10.
Okay, so 3 in
4
years?
3 under 3.
Okay,
yes.
All right. I was trying to give you the benefit. It's all good. But I went back, we met 4 years ago, and it was in the height of COVID, which plays into especially one of the stories. But I thought we'll let Erica kind of go through of like why we met, what changed, and kind of how that impacted the family. Because each one of these on their own, if you're a parent, you know you're always juggling and having to do something a little different, a little special to accommodate the uniqueness of your child. But when you've got 3 of them,
it's a lot.
It gets interesting.
Yes, it does.
So the first one we met was Brody, the oldest, and there was a few things going on with him. He loved to play basketball, but...
But he broke his knee when he was 3 by jumping off his bed. So don't do that at
Monkeys
home.
Jumping off the bed, no.
And it was a big struggle for him because he could not do anything with his knee. It was like stuck. He couldn't walk down the stairs normally. It was so heartbreaking watching him and struggle. So that was one of our main focuses with you to get on that.
And he was 9 years old. And so, you expect that a kid at that age is either goofing around that they're not walking right or something's not right. But basketball was important because that was his outlet for his...
It's still important.
Yeah, for his anxiety, right?
Yes. Sports was his go-to because we introduced him to sports when he was probably either 2 or 3, and he loved it. He breathes basketball. It's like Michael Jordan was his dream, and he wants to be in the NBA. So he is obsessed with it and loves it. And when he hurt himself, it was a real struggle to get him back to where he needed to be.
So the other thing that happens besides the sports part of it and helping regulate him from an anxiety standpoint, but isn't that his social network?
Yes, that's where he met all his friends.
Yeah, so if he doesn't make the team or isn't able to play, then what happens with that?
Then he's sitting at home doing nothing, playing video
games. And what
games.
happens to you?
Then it's really, my anxiety level would go up.
Yeah.
So getting him active really helped. He also, with his ADHD, it was like it really, really helped him and Kara as well.
So, still, he's not perfect. He's 13. He's a budding teenager. Is anxiety still a thing?
A little bit, but not anywhere to where it was. At all.
Over the years, we've still seen him every so often because he's an active guy, and then what happens?
He hurts himself.
He gets injured.
Bangs into something. Somebody throws a basketball at him. So we need a refresher.
Yeah, and every time that he gets injured, the anxiety goes out.
Yes.
So parents sometimes wonder, like, why do we continue to see kids? It's like, because life continues to happen.
And they're changing.
So that kind of plays into the next one, her middle child, who's a boy.
Yep.
And we met him after the first one. You saw what would help, but he had some different things going on.
He did.
And he he did have anxiety.
He did as well.
But was he so sports oriented then?
He was too. Both of my boys were very sports oriented.
But I seem to remember, like, clumsy was one. He had a lot more little things going on.
Yes, he was very clumsy. He would trip on things. He'd fall, and I wasn't sure if it was vision or what it was. But we worked on that.
So one of the things that you don't often think of bridging to help, but we talk about it when we meet people, is that there's some cognitive aspects that we can assess and get a good kind of grip on related to the motor skills. And that was actually something that came into play for him. It was the first year of COVID. School was not normal, and he was 6 years old. And I'm
having anxiety thinking about it.
Right. You were struggling because he was struggling.
Yeah.
And what we saw is his motor skills and how his vision and his hand work together, they weren't what they should be for a 6-year-old. And what had everybody been telling you, or you assumed?
Well, he couldn't sit still. He wasn't able to sit in the Zooms. He was barely participating, and it was a very big struggle. He'd have meltdowns. He would cry. It was very sad for him.
But he's a boy, and he's 6, right?
Yes. So he kind of goes under the radar in that, that nobody really thinks, oh, maybe like there's something else. Maybe it's a balance. Maybe it's coordination. It's something.
Give him time.
Yeah, give him time. That's the best one.
You let him go. But then, so after what we saw with assessing with his visual motor skills and talked with you, you went to the school.
Yep.
And what did you find out?
So I actually went to the school, gave them the assessment that Kara had told me, and we got him a 504 and an IEP after sitting with the principal, who's wonderful, and they finally listened and saw what I was seeing in him. And now he gets all the tools that he needs for school, and they help him now. And if everybody wants to see him play basketball, you should see he doesn't trip anymore. His hand-eye coordination is spectacular.
Cool. So, like we like to think of bridging to help with anxiety and motor skills, but there's a different side of motor skills that sometimes is actually more important in the long run of just how they're able to have confidence and function in school and have the support to get there. And it was really wonderful that you actually took that information and then went and pursued that. So we were really happy that we could help you stand your ground.
It was a gift. I mean, you really helped me. And if it wasn't for you guys, then I wouldn't have gotten to that piece to help him. So we all worked together.
Yeah, but so he's still, we see him every once in a while, a little tune up for some sports things and for some growing.
But he's doing amazing.
Yeah. So again, like just him on his own, but there's one more. And so she's got different things, but drove you crazy in a different way.
And she wanted to come here because she was like, my brother's come here. Can I please come? I love it.
So, but what, your daughter, there were two things in particular that were, man, as a parent, you're like, one was more of a day-to-day, but one was if you were going to the certain environments. What was she afraid of to start with?
She had a lot of fears. She had fears of elevators. She had fears of brushing her hair, which was just terrible at the time. I mean, she would not let me take a brush to her hair, which then led to other things. And her fears were growing and growing. And it was not a fun time with her.
But that gets reflected on you as a parent, right?
Yes.
And then how does that play out in the family?
It's very stressful for every single person in our family.
Because you're trying to get out the door and
she's not doing anything because she's so scared to do things.
Yeah. And trying to even just wash her hair.
Oh, she couldn't lift her head back. She was trying to go in the shower and she'd be like, Mom, I can't do it. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't do it? I'm like, okay, we're going to Kara.
So, actually, you worked with Becky.
We're going to Becky.
But, we think of those as like being defiant or just the kids like, gosh, why can't they do this? And what we'll find is there's actually a motor skill.
Yes.
It's like you need to be able to control your core going backwards. And it's something that we learn when we're in the first 6 months of an infant developing. And once you put that those relationships in the core together, then she could wash her hair.
Yep.
And
She even does her own hair now.
Okay.
Takes her brush, goes in, goes to the mirror, and comes out. Her hair looks beautiful.
Awesome. But does anything else stand out from?
Let's see. Honestly, well, this was our favorite place to go. So we loved being here because anytime we'd leave, we felt that there was some sort of relief for everything. It wasn't just anxiety. It was with the fears, with the balance. And we talk every day about how life is a balance.
Yeah.
And how after being able to lift our arms or stand still and to be a gymnast that Skylar wanted to do, to dance, to play soccer, to play basketball, just to walk through the streets without having that like fear of anything, really it helped us. Being here and working with you and Becky, my kids just felt so great after they left. They would have the best night's sleep.
Oh, yay.
And
Miracles.
their developments were, it was like a milestone would happen after we would leave here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but to help the parents understand like the process, did we see you every week?
No.
Did you have homework you had to do at home?
Absolutely not. No. We would come whenever we were told to come because it had to take a few weeks to take effect or a couple of days and it needed to just settle.
So even now, it's like, do we see, it's like maybe 1 or 2 times a year?
Yeah.
If that, it's usually if something happens, right?
If somebody gets hurt, if somebody falls off a bike or anything, like we just come for a refresher.
Yeah. So I know people are not used to that being the norm, but take it from Erica. That's actually how things work. And if you had homework to do, would you have done it?
No. No. And my kids would not have done it either.
No. So that's like, we do all the work for you. So that's like, put the pieces back together and then let everything go forward from there.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. Putting a puzzle back together. That's what we are, I feel like.
Yeah, we are.
So,
yes, we are.
But we have to advocate for our children. So we have to understand what's going on and bringing them into you.
So as a family, when the kids are doing better, you're doing better.
And when I'm doing better, they're doing better. It works.
But then how does that translate into a bigger?
It's actually, we could actually like be ourselves and we could like sit down at the dinner table, have a conversation. Jackson could actually sit and not stand or hold the fork right or do his homework or not struggle to read. These were all the problems. And
so so thankful for Erica being here because people, from an adult perspective, it's pain, it's anxiety. From the kids, it's anxiety, but there's developmental pieces, and they're big, and they matter to more than just the child. It's the rest of the family and the rest of the community, and it's really lovely when it all kind of comes together.
yeah, it does.
So for those of you at home that are interested we're in the northern suburbs of Chicago. If you're not local, you can come in just every once in a while. As Erica said, it's just a bump up in how the puzzle's going together. We also can do virtual appointments. And if you're a professional, especially working with kids, we do teach bridging. And there is a workshop coming up soon. Check that out on the website. Thank you for being here. Give Erica a big thumbs up, like this episode, and subscribe for more great insights like this. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. This is so great.